Forgive me, subscribers, for it has been a week since I last ranted. Now, I don't know whether this is going to be a rant or a ramble, I should say. Maybe it will be a rumble or a mixture of both. I'm working on other things, and I'm trying to get away from some of this male-female stuff as much as possible as a black man, because at some point you gotta go on to other things. There's a backlog of things that I need to get to, even though I know it more is about the male-female dynamic. As much as people want to make it about other things, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. You know, people thought SYSBM was about other things, and you have people on the outside, what do they focus on? Male-female dynamic. And our place in the gynocracy is supposedly willing slaves. But there were two videos that, was a bunch of videos that were sent to me, let's put it that way, there always is. One piece I still might do, but there was a clip from Valdez that I wanted when he was ranting about choice, and had something to do with the piece in the Black Youth Project about this dude going on SYSBM. And I was gonna mix that with what's going on with the Toronto basketball player and his white wife, and people going in on him and him responding, and people not respecting his choice. The second piece was somebody sent to me about women dating down, and was actually introduced by a black woman. And after the piece, the panel came back, and a black man said, obviously, that if women are making more, or making more money, and they're now the breadwinners, how come when they're the breadwinners they settle, and when men are making more and they're the breadwinners, they're doing what they're supposed to do? And he was saying how that worked. And at the end of that piece, the black woman disagreed, and she said she could bad all by herself. That means you are not willing to do your part to make things work if it's not to your liking. And that's what I was really going to go in about. And then I saw Blackheart's video on April Mason's piece and the trope about black men not protecting black women. And then she did another post that random black men who are her friends didn't reach out to her because she was in the middle of the night. She didn't feel protected, and she wanted somebody, a man, a platonic friend that she says she's known for years, to come over and sleep in the bedroom, her spare bedroom, or stand outside so she could feel safe. And she was upset, but only one did. Like, it's supposed to be hundreds, it's just supposed to, because you're pretty, hundreds of guys are supposed to flock to you and be willing to sacrifice their lives or give you the umbrella of protection that you feel that you deserve. And that's the problem, because she felt that she deserved it. And the previous day, because some guys, I assume black guys, tried to kidnap her cousin. That's the story that she was telling. And that since there were 3 black guys, I'm assuming all 3 of these guys were black guys. And the story that she told, I'll tell it briefly. You can actually go to her page. I'll link it in the description. And you can see the 2 videos in question that she was talking about. In fact, I'll link all 3 of them in the description. And you can see the videos in question. And before I start ranting or rambling about this particular situation, I have one thing to say. Shout out to C Boogie, the nerve of these niggas. Nerve of these niggas. Basically, y'all don't really like us. Y'all don't really like us, and you know that you don't really like us as men. You don't like your black men, and you think that the black men are beneath you. And that's what pisses me off about all these situations. It always comes back to it. That black men have no rights, that black women are bound to respect, that we are supposed to be willing servants to the gynocracy. And normally April Mason is complimentary to black men, complimentary to how you treat black men, And that's the face that she puts on. And I'm sure in most cases, not under stress, that she is that way. And that's the whole thing about stress. And that's what I said, I think it was a few months ago, a few weeks ago, a few videos ago. I said that you never know what kind of fighter you have that's deep down in that fighter until they get hit. Till they get hit and they get rocked, and then they revert to who they really are. Now, April Mason is normally cool and suave and complimentary and ladylike and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden you get hit. You get hit, and that reveals who you really are. And who you really are underneath is the same as every other black woman. There is no difference. And she's one of the better ones. Why do I say the nerve of these niggas, of these black women? Is that she was saying all good black men need to come out and change something and protect all black women everywhere. And change the environment that they exist in. And do it for basically nothing, because that's what we're supposed to do. Because you deemed it so. I just have one question for April Mason and every other black woman that's like that. Who the hell are you? Who the hell are you? And what did you do to deserve the right to even say something like that? She's a dating coach. She's not a mayor. She's not a councilman. She's not a congressman. She's not a senator. And where I don't know her personally, I just know her work. There's nothing in it that you've ever done for any black man that I've seen. You talk kindly, and that's the best that we can get from you, but you talk kindly so that women can properly date or get a decent black dude. It's not to help black men in their lifestyle. I've never seen you go to bat in Atlanta for police beating men upside the head or putting men in jail or killing black men on the street. I've never seen you talk about doing a gang intervention, stop black boys from killing each other. I've never seen you talk about doing anything to educate the black men that you talk about. I've never seen you talk about uplifting the lives of black boys so that we can raise proper black men, or even training the mothers of these black boys and these black children so we can have a safe environment. Now, she says that her cousin was walking to work. I assume walking to work or walking to a bus stop to get to work, and 3 guys pulled out trying to kidnap her. Now, kidnapping and sexual trafficking can happen in any country, any city, any place, anywhere, for women of all different races. You have a city where they're still digging up bodies of kidnapped Mexican women that were actually snatched or grabbed up by the cartel and done whatever they done to them and then dumped into shallow graves. And that shit still goes on. But the one thing that I have never heard those Mexican women do is blame the freaking men for shit that they didn't do. They didn't blame their husbands. They didn't blame the good guys that need to come out and protect their women, because there's no way they could. That is the law of independence. That is the law of being an individual. You have that right. Now, when my grandmother in 1910 lived in Louisiana, she carried an axe and she carried a razor in her bosom. Okay, she was born in 1910, so this is in 20s and 30s. She carried a razor. One thing she never did was blame the men for her protection, ever. And she's a good woman those were good women that raised their children and raised their boys and tried to do what they could, the best that they could for them. But they knew the environment that they lived in, and then they knew that anytime they could get snatched, they could get hurt or whatever. And the men have always borne the brunt of any environment that we've been in. And what pisses me, what pisses me the fuck off about women of this ilk, and our women especially, that if something happens in their life that they don't feel safe, that they don't feel secure, that they don't they don't feel safe in the environment that they're in, is when something happens to them. Now, all these ratchet chicks have with all these ratchet children, they're in Atlanta. We know how ratchet Atlanta is, okay? These women do nothing to clean that up. They do nothing to uplift the black community. I do mean nothing. They do nothing to improve the lives of their boys. They don't even fight for their boys to have jobs and opportunities and education. They don't fight for nothing. They fight to get themselves in school. They fight for their opportunities. They brag about their education and their level. And then like the other video, they complain, how come we don't have men on our level? You didn't fucking train them. You didn't freaking raise them. You took the child support money, you took the welfare money, you took this, that, and the other so you could survive. And guess what? When your children, or especially your boys, get to a certain age, you put them out. I don't see none of them broads that stick hair on their heads and put eyelashes on and wear short skirts and walking up and down the street looking for penis, volunteer at a center till you can read to your children or tutor simple math facts to your kids. The graduation rate in Georgia for boys suck. The reading level for boys, for black boys especially, suck. The poverty rate for black boys in Atlanta is abysmal. There is no woman foundation for Morehouse or any one of the upperly mobile schools. And then you get pissed off when Robert F. Smith comes in and does something for the boys that happen to graduate. There ain't no foundation. Black women have trillions of dollars. They spend trillions of dollars on makeup and hair. I see a very minute amount of black women talking about homeschooling their boys or homeschooling their kids or educating their kids. They're all white, sometimes Hispanic. And if they're black, they're most likely African. Let's get this straight. You don't give a shit about your environment. You don't give a shit about your neighborhood. You don't give a shit about your community until it affects you, until you don't feel safe. Now, 3 guys randomly follow your cousin, get out of a car supposedly with a gun, follow you in a store to grab you up. And that don't sound personal to you. And when you get an Uber, they follow the freaking Uber. That don't sound personal to you? I would be questioning my cousin. What the hell is going on? Because that is way too personal for 3 guys in a car to randomly follow you and try to snatch you up. That doesn't sound right. But that is beside the point. And all of a sudden you don't feel safe. So you think that you're supposed to go on Facebook and your fans are supposed to randomly come to your house, sleep in your spare bedroom so that you can feel protected. Because that's what you see on TV. If you had that kind of relationship with your platonic friends and you didn't feel safe and you wanted somebody to give you protection, you'd have a Rolodex, you'd got on the phone, hey, bruh, my sister just got snatched up, I don't know what's going on, and I'm in here by myself. Hey, could you come sleep on the couch for a night? Or sleep in the spare bedroom for a night? Or sit up and watch TV and keep me company because I don't feel protected? Now you expect the nerve of you to post a Facebook post and get support. Men don't operate that way. If I have friends and I need help and I need protection, it ain't gonna be a Facebook post. I'm gonna call somebody. I'm gonna call a few somebodies. Hey, I need help. Hey man, I need a spot. Hey man, can you come through, man, and hang out? Because I got a situation I can deal with. That should have happened. But the fact that you didn't get on the phone and then say that means those aren't really your friends. And you weren't serious. Because trust and believe, if there was somebody throwing a rock through your window or parked outside your house, you'd have called somebody to come over and hang out. Everybody got a smartphone. Everybody got a DM. If you felt that those guys that you call your friends thought that you needed help, you'd have contacted them. But the nerve of you to think the nerve of black women to think they're supposed to get blanket automatic protection and have with nothing that they've done for it. You know, I'm in Los Angeles And only like 5% of the people in Los Angeles are black. That means 2.5% of the people in Los Angeles are black men. 60% of the people on the street that are homeless are black men. 60%. 2% of the population, but 60% of the homeless are black men. And everybody knows it. And the only people that even post, say something, do something about black men being homeless are black men. I don't see black women working in shelters. I don't see them petitioning to get their black men and their black boys off the freaking street, because half of them dudes are black boys that got put out of the system, put out of the house, and now they're out on the street by themselves. Their mamas don't care. The women don't care. And I'm sure if all the homeless in Atlanta, I'm pretty sure, as black as it is, I'm sure 60 to 70% of the homeless in Atlanta are black men. I haven't heard April Mason say nothing about it. I've never heard any of the black women that are dating coaches say about anything about the black men that are homeless in Atlanta, because those men don't count, because those men can't help them. Those men are worthless to them. Those black boys that can't read are worthless to them. Even though 75% of the black boys in California are below reading level. So I'm pretty sure it's pretty much the same. I'll actually go back and check. It's the same thing in Georgia, where your black boys are at the freaking bottom. And you wonder why you get 3 black guys in a car trying to snatch your sister. And they don't see value in them because you ain't never done nothing for them. That's why I always point to my brother's keeper. He wanted to do something for black boys. And he didn't even say black boys, he just said all boys. Because he knew if he said black boys, there'd be a whole lot of pushback. Anytime they have a boys' high school, a single-sex high school, which we used to have, you can't say you're doing something for black boys or black men because you're going to get pushback. You have to put it on the label of people of color just to get anything for black boys. You got black boys on the street that can't get assistance. They can't get housing. They can't get anything. They can't get apprentice programs. They can't get tutoring. Hell, they can't even, you don't even have freaking online classes to help black boys. You have billions of dollars that you guys spend on hair, spend on lunch, spend on eating, but you don't have a fraction of a cent that goes to the education and upliftment of black boys. None. The only reason you want black boys to be uplifted because you need a mate, and you don't have enough men on your level to make you happy. What you really want is a man on your level to sit up there, sleep with you, and be your mate, so that you can feel important and protected. You don't care about him. You don't care about black boys that have to walk the street unprotected and get shot at and get killed. That's entertainment. You don't care about the little black boy that has to drop out of high school because he doesn't feel protected. He got to walk the street through those gangs. He got to walk past the dope dealers. Or he has to go out on the block and scramble because he can't eat. Or he has to put up with the police force targeting him. They have a whole freaking state. We know about the South. And there's sundown places where you can't go. There's places you can't work. And I've heard about it, Georgia, and I heard about Atlanta, to where the people in the HR that are black women won't hire their own men. They're prejudiced against their own men. Because I hear about this shit all the time. That the biggest barrier to black men's advancement, and not even white men's, they're your own sisters. But y'all ain't gonna speak out about that. Because if he doesn't get your panties wet, then he's no good to you. You know what y'all do? Y'all take a brother in, put him in your bed, sleep with him for a few days, and put him back out on the street like he's worth nothing. They won't send him through programs into warrior training. You don't get anything, because if you really wanted to be protected, all those black boys should be in martial arts or some kind of self-defense or some kind of weapons training. It should be paid for by the women. Why? Because you're the one that want to be fucking protected. You want your neighborhood safe, not for them, for you. Because you don't care about your boys walking the street unprotected. You don't care about your men that have to live through rough neighborhoods. You're going to drive the bucket like her. I was driving the bucket to my favorite restaurant spot to get me something to eat. You only care about the neighborhood. You only care about the community when it affects you. 3/4 of the colleges are populated by black women, especially down south, especially in Georgia. 3/4 of the population that are in colleges are black women, and it have been so for a very long time, and nobody says anything. Nobody does anything because you don't fucking care. And you don't fucking care until somebody like your cousin almost gets snatched by 3 goons that happen to be black, which could happen in any place in the world by men that look like them. White women don't get snatched by black men. White women get snatched all the time, get kidnapped all the time. Mexican women get kidnapped all the time. And guess who they get kidnapped by? It ain't black men, because the first thing they'll say is a nigga snatched me. Black men don't go randomly snatching up other people's women. The men that look like them try to snatch them up. Men that look like them kill them. Black women always complain, but your boys at the bottom. Nobody complains when 1/3 of your men go to prison or jail. Nobody complains that 40% of your males are on some kind of probation. Nobody shuts down those ratchet clubs and them strip clubs that have negative female behavior because it makes money for you. And you bring that element in. You allow that element to be in your neighborhood, to be in your city, because one, it makes money. 2, you want to engage in that behavior. And you wonder why it goes on. Y'all don't live in fucking Pleasantville. Black women wild out and engage in negative behavior, engage in whole behavior, especially in Atlanta. And you wonder what happens. You wonder why all of a sudden they treat you like you're garbage or treat you like you're a possession. But it's good black men are supposed to come in and change this shit when you can't change yourself. Why is it that nobody complains when white men come to your city and they approach your black boys to have sex with them? I ain't seen one pedophile case about white men coming into your town, into your city, trying to bang your little black boys and have sex with them for money. None, because it benefits you. If white men were coming in after little girls, guess what happened? Everything would stop. You guys are the place where little black boys are getting snatched up and they're getting found in the river. Y'all did nothing. Black women did nothing. I remember that. They did nothing to protect their black boys. Hundreds of little black boys were found in rivers, and this went on for years, and y'all did nothing. Dick Gregory was the only one that actually really come out and speak on it, and the black women from Atlanta didn't do squat, and still don't do squat. They had millions of dollars, billions of dollars through Newt Gingrich of all people. Newt Gingrich of all people brought defense contractors into the Atlanta area that started to build up Atlanta. He's white. See no black women do that. The only black woman that ever came out of Atlanta that I even respect, that I would ride or die for, that has ridden and died for black men, was Cynthia McKinney. And you guys, you black women especially, allowed them folks to ride her out of town, to ride her out of Congress. Y'all didn't even come help her out, help that sister out, because you didn't care. And you have the nerve to get on YouTube and complain that you don't get no protection. Let me calm down for a second. You don't deserve protection. That's really at the bottom line. In your heart of hearts, you know you don't deserve it. You know you ain't done nothing for it. And when black men ask you, what have you done to deserve protection? The only thing you say is, that's what you're supposed to do. Okay, let's ride with that. Black men are supposed to protect the community, protect their women, make sure their women are good. That's what they're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to make sure the children are good. You're supposed to make sure that the boys are raised properly. You're supposed to make sure that your boys don't go to prison, that they don't go to jail, that they're properly fed and properly cared for. Because at the end of the day, all the money is going to flow through you. 80% of the money flows through the black women. And black women get 80% of all the advantages that come into the black community. Black women get custody of 90% of the children. And you're supposed to make sure that the children are raised properly. But when it comes to that, all of a sudden you say it's not your fault, it's the black man's fault. Let me get off of this for a second. Let me get to the other thing, which was supposed to be initially what my rant was supposed to be about, until I saw that April Mason video. And I like April Mason. Shout out to April Mason. I normally like her. But at the end of the day, she's just like any other black woman. And Edward has been tooting her horn for like 2 or 3 years, but I knew at the end of the day, she ain't just like everybody else. She ain't no different. These chicks ain't no different. I don't care how they say they love black men and how feminine that they say they are. They might be feminine, but at the end of the day, they just like everybody else. Ain't no difference between them. It's like I said, ain't no difference between the 85 and 100 octane for black women. They all have the same mindset. And when they get punched, the real woman comes out. Let me get to the other part. And I ran it so long on the first part that this is probably going to be long. And I apologize. Hopefully, if you guys make it to the end, you got your money's worth. But anyway, talking about the dating part, where black women complain that they have to settle. They constantly complain that they have to settle. They can't find nobody on their level, and they probably can't, and they have to settle. And then the bottom line is, no, you don't have to settle. I shouldn't have to settle. No, you shouldn't have to. No, yes, you should settle. You do have to settle if that's what you want. If you want to mate, black men do it all the time. We don't get what we want. We don't get the woman that we want. We get the woman that's available. We get the best woman available for the job. We got to take you with attitudes. We got to take you if you're fat. We got to take you if you're not pretty. We don't get the 8s, 9s, and 10s because there's not enough of them. We have to take the 4, 5s, and 6s. We got to get in where we fit in. And so black men settle all the time. And after we get married, you have to settle with your attitudes. And when we don't want to settle with your attitudes, and we're going to go to another race, or we're going to go outside the country, or we're going to deal with a non-African-American woman, you guys complain. And the first thing you said, that you should settle for us. You should settle for what you get. You need to stay and deal with us because you have to. It's the first thing they say. We don't have to, but you have to. You know, we have to work with you guys because this is the women that we have, but you guys don't have to work with us. And you complain every time you have to. And even when you get the man that you want or say that you want, when you get dissatisfied, the first thing you want to do is toss him. That's why the black divorce rate is 80%. And you don't mind competing and stepping on your man when you want to get the bag or get your degree. You don't mind stepping all over him. You don't mind crushing his programs. You don't mind infantilizing him. And the guys that do make the money, do make it out, first thing you have is your hand out trying to pull him down. Instead of helping him be a better person and make more money so that he can help the community, you don't care about that. You want your little piece so you can sit back and pat your hands and you can look good to your friends. How many black athletes that make millions, hundreds of millions of dollars got drugged down by petty black women, got drugged down in child support, got drugged down because all the black women wanted their piece of the pie. They don't care about the community or what that man can do for the community. All they care about is their comfort. And that young kid that doesn't know anything got away through a whole bunch of, that's like a lot of black athletes are bailing and jumping the other side and actually marrying white women. That's why, and that's the other thing I want to comment about, that basketball player marrying white women, because that white woman's gonna help him make more money and not drag him down and not help her family jump in his pockets where he has to support a whole tribe of people. Because your mama ain't gonna tell her sisters and her cousins no when it comes to your money. She's not gonna be a gatekeeper for you. She's the first thing she gonna say is call you up and tell you who you need to do something for, because it's gonna give her clout. Instead of saying, no, that's my son's money and he had to earn it and there was nobody there to help him shoot baskets or buy him a uniform or buy him tennis shoes or drive him to practice. Now, when he makes it, everybody wants to jump on board and suck off his money. I'm not gonna allow you to do it. Nobody says that. I ain't never heard no black mama say that. When he makes it, she bring all 40 people, 50 people right along with her. So he doesn't have a chance to amass wealth or have a chance to use his wealth to acquire more wealth and power to help the community. But that's what they do. And a thought jumped up in my head about black women talking about, along with April Mason, you're not protected. You have to settle. There's nobody on your level. You're all alone. You're single mothers. You're abandoned by your men. Blah, 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 blah. What I've found out is that black women are some of the most unhappy, non-content women on the planet. Even when they marry dudes of means, men of means, there's always some drama. White women, get a man of means and she helps him out. She learns how to do something, and she learns how to manage his money, how to protect his assets, how to raise the children properly. And you never hear from them. Never hear them complain. They're not on Twitter. They're not on IG. They're not on Facebook. They're not on doing anything complaining. It's always black women complaining. The biggest complainers on Facebook and IG and Twitter are black women. They're always complaining. They're never happy. They're never content. They love drama. They don't even like each other. A black man can do no right in a black woman's eyes. You know, there's always something that happens with black athletes. That's the funny thing, man. That's the odd thing. Because of the way our women treat us, there are no women that even respect us. Our black women run all over us. You don't never see things on tape where a white man or a Hispanic man, and we even talked about a Hispanic man just came over the border, where he's getting attacked by women. It's gotten so bad, even white men try to attack black men because they think they can. All these black athletes, man, they have private parties in hotels, and white women try to crash it, and they think they have a right to come into the party because the man is black. Because they've seen black women do it so much. Every time you see an athlete have an issue that makes it to the tape, I'm talking about high-level dudes, talking about domestic violence, it's always a black male. It's always black men having problems with their women. I remember the time where this black woman dropped off the little boy at the wrong house and ran off because the black mother couldn't get it together. And then they tried to blame the black man because he wasn't home. Try to blame the black father. Then blame the woman, blame the black father because he wasn't home. It was his fault. Oh, Ray Rice having, mutual combat with his black wife. She didn't care about his reputation. She didn't care about her money. She got drunk and she felt like fighting him. And then looked sick when he got put out of the league because now her money was being affected. Every time I see an athlete going through stuff, it's always a black male athlete and a black woman behind it. I remember Shawnee, Shaquille O'Neal's wife. They always asked her how come they couldn't get actual basketball wives that were white, or even basketball girlfriends that were white, to actually come on the show. How come they're always black? Even though we know there's tons of basketball players that actually date and are married to white women. Okay, we know that. It might not be the majority. I think Shawnee, at the time, Shawnee said it was 20%. I think it's higher than that now. It's more like, it might be half and half. And we know of the black basketball players that are married to what? White women. But Shawnee said she could not get any white women to come to be on part of the reality show, even though there's money in it. Or even the women that were actually engaged or dating the basketball players. Why? Because they said, one, they didn't want to embarrass themselves, and two, they didn't want to embarrass the men that they were dating. And they didn't want to embarrass their ex-husbands. But black women can't wait to sign up. They can't wait to get on and talk about you. They can't wait to get on and start drama. They can't wait to be unhappy. And it's not, like I said, if it was just the poor dudes, the 85s, the thugs, the ghetto dudes, which black women say they love so much, I would understand. You like thug behavior, you like the roughnecks, you like that kind of lifestyle, you like the guys that actually do that kind of stuff, and then you complain about the neighborhood that you don't feel protected. Of course not. Because that is the neighborhood, those are the people that you chose. That is the environment that you chose to have. If you like thugs, you think thugs are going to bring a safe neighborhood, an upstanding neighborhood. You think that thugs are actually going to build a buckhead. No, they're not. They're going to bring the ratchet behavior that happened to April Mason's cousin. Same kind of thugs, same kind of criminality that black women love so much gets visited upon them, and then all of a sudden they don't like it. It's like back in the 80s, crack era. And I said this before, and I'm gonna get a little raw here. Black women were fine with crack dealers and drug dealers and with the fancy cars and the fancy shoes and the wad of money in their pocket. They could take them and wild out and have funs with them wild ass parties and get drunk and all that other kind of shit. And they were good with it. They were good with the craziness of the drug trade. They were good with the wildness of the dude. They were good with being ratchet and cussing each other out and being able to be uncouth. They like that kind of stuff. And I'm not just talking about the project chicks. I'm talking about the chicks on the hill. They're good with that. They love that kind of stuff. Until what? Until they get guns drawn on them, or they get shot at, or one of their girls get killed in a drive-by, or kidnapped, or get found in an apartment. Seen a lot of those women get found in alleys, found dead in apartments, guns drawn on them. Or they get their men put away for 10, 15 years when they got 2 or 3 kids by the dude. Or where the dude wild out and beat them half to death. And then all of a sudden, they want to get right. And then all of a sudden, it's all these dudes' fault. But the thing is, you encourage that behavior. Then you can't understand how come the educated lames don't accept you. Hell, I've seen this shit in my own family. And the thing is, it's not like they don't know better, but they don't want to be responsible for their choices. They don't want to take responsibility for their choices. They don't want to take responsibility for the burden that they put on their families. And all the women, and I can tell you, all the women gang up and cover for it. In the white community, that would never happen. Chick go with a drug dealer or get caught up in some low living or do something to embarrass the family, they disown that chick. The black female collective does not do that. Well, they'll get on the dude that's educated. They'll get on the dude that's raising himself to a higher level. They'll get embarrassed and say he's acting white. Black women encourage low living. I just had a chick that, shout out to, I think it was Candy Kitty or something like that, that said she's a diesel, and she said she married 2 engineers, but she'd rather be a hoe. And she commented that she wanted to tell me why she liked thugs. Like I care, like I don't already know. And then cry about your neighborhood. How come your neighborhood's going down? How come black men don't protect you? How come your neighborhood's fucked up? Duh. And how come black men can't give us what we want? How come we feel unprotected? How come we can't walk around in our neighborhoods like white women? Because you don't do what white women do. You don't act the way they act. You don't uphold the values that white women uphold. You don't raise your children in the same way. White women would never settle for 75% of her black boys not being up to standard. They never settle for that. They never would settle for unequal treatment of their boys. They would never settle for that. There ain't one black mother that actually stood up for those black boys or those black athletes in Me Too. They'll let them niggas go to jail. Let a white woman put them in jail. Them white mothers, when they go after their white boys or their white college boys, them white mothers looking for lawyers to sue them white chicks and try to sue them into the ground, try to run them out, try to run them out of the university for actually accusing their boys. Black women do not protect their men. They don't protect their boys. They don't protect their community. And they do everything to tear it down. They will do everything to allow the negativity in their community. And happy to do so. They don't police their kids. They don't police themselves. They don't police the other women. And then they cry about the black community and how come nobody wants them and how come nobody wants to be around them. Are you fucking kidding me? You love being unhappy. You love being dysfunctional. You should go ahead and admit it. This is what you like. Stop crying about not being protected. Stop crying about not being loved. Stop crying about your neighborhood and how it is because you like this shit. Stop crying about it. Embrace what you are. Embrace the environment that you create. Nobody's here to save you from yourself. One thing I will say that April Mason did say, and I agree with, you foster this environment to where of criminality, of thuggishness. You encourage it. You pay for it. You pay to encourage it. You pay to encourage ratchetness and wild behavior. Then you should arm yourself. It's a carry state. You're a woman. You say you don't feel protected, they'll give you a concealed carry license. You should learn self-defense. You should carry weapons. if you're gonna walk the street by yourself. That's common sense. But you don't feel that you should be touched. You don't feel that it's gonna happen to you. You feel that the world should stop and protect you because you're black. And that the black men that you don't love, that you don't like, that you don't respect, that you don't help, because you're a black woman, they shouldn't prey on you. They should prey and be predators to everybody else, but they shouldn't prey on you. Black men are the most long-suffering group of men on the planet, because we have the most dysfunctional group of women that I've ever seen in my freaking life. They say the dysfunction start with black men. We have the largest group of dysfunctional women on the planet. And I do mean dysfunctional. Even when you give them every advantage, they're still dysfunctional. And they're so dysfunctional, they won't even help themselves, much less you. Because to them, their dysfunction is normal. But anyway, this is getting way too long, and the ramble is way too long, and I'm sure it's getting close to an hour. We'll see by the time I edit the ums and the ahs down. But I know you guys like my rants and my rambles, and I hope you get your money's worth out of this one. And I'm sure most people, when I say it's a rant or a ramble, people do make it to the end because they want to hear what I got to say. But I'm going to jump off of here.